Okay. I'm sure I have all my files ready here. All right, let's recap a little bit how to enable work sharing. I'm going to need this for the demonstration later today. Yesterday, I show you on Monday, I show you how we converted a architectural model into BIM Collaborate Pro. I'm going to do the same with the structural one. And to move this into the cloud, you need to have a subscription of BIM Collaborate Pro, because BIM Collaborate Pro is the only services that enable live Revit work sharing. There's another version, BIM Collaborate, that includes everything. And I think I have spoken when I said that BIM Collaborate doesn't give you access to design collaboration. That is wrong. I mean, I double checked today, and you do have access to the exchanges created via design collaboration. The only thing that is not possible in BIM Collaborate is the ability to enable live work sharing. So that functionality is not there. So if you don't need to collaborate live on the cloud, but you still want to have access to the exchanges produced by the rest of the team via design collaboration, then I think you may want to go with just the BIM, securing a subscription of BIM Collaborate. That's it. All right, but let's enable this on the cloud here. I go to the Collaborate tab, then I hit the Collaborate button to save it, obviously, and we're collaborating in the cloud. And then I'm going to place this in the appropriate consultant folder, the right project. This is a structural discipline, so we'll go into the structural folder, save it. This is creating the work sets, the default work sets, and then this is saving the model in the cloud. Then I have to add additional work sets as needed. I'm not going to do that because we already did that last class. We have to relinquish ownership of the work sets, synchronize with Central one more time, and then close the file. Relinquish ownership of all the work sets I may own, synchronize with Central. Oh, another thing I want to make sure is that I make sure that the appropriate views are in this model so that they can be used for both model coordination in the cloud and the sheets and views that needs to be part of the documentation. And so on their, and this step is very important, under the publish settings, you create a set, display all the views in the model, and this is the structural one. There are no sheets in this sample file, but I'm going to say, the floor plans, all the floor plans, and the elevations, and the 3D view, this is all part of the publish settings. Save and close. Synchronize with Central again. What I mentioned yesterday is that the files in the cloud are stored in Amazon server that is not visible to us. If we want to make, if we are at a point in the model where we want to share this file with other consultants, then we publish it. And to publish a file, after it's been synchronized with Central. And you do that directly from the Autodesk Docs homepage. And so this user interface will detect when there have been changes in the Amazon server, and it will display a notification that a file has changes and that needs to be updated. And so under the structural model here, here is the file. Notice how it says update available. So when I hit publish, then these file along with the publish setting sheets are going to travel to the cloud, and they're going to be made available to the rest of the team. So it's going to take a few minutes to process, but I'm going to let it run there. This is in a nutshell what we did last time, and then we open a model, and everybody contributed to the model in one way or another one. What I want, the discussion I want to complete now, it's in the design collaboration module, which is the process that guide how information is exchanged in the cloud. And so the design collaboration module allows you to control the exchange information between different teams, allow you to track the exchanges in a timeline. So you can always have a history of what has been sent and when. It gives you the ability to have a paper trail of design documentation that has been shared with the different teams. You can visually see the model changes over time. For example, you can compare what was the status of a model from one point in time to another point in time. And it also allows you to tap into the model coordination, which allow you to create physical interferences. Okay, notice now that these, when this is in green, that means that the live model, which is in the Amazon server, is exactly the same as the one on Docs. So I'm calling it the static model. So the static model equals to the live model. And there's a version of that on Docs. Let me pull Docs here. Behind me. Yeah. All right, this is Docs. And in Docs, I have on the model, there's here's the structural file that I just published. Notice how it has this little icon that it's telling you this is a work share model, as opposed as you see, this is a cloud model. This is done via a Revit LT. Or if you see the MVP file doesn't have any icon, that means that somebody just drag it and drop it. So there are three different ways of putting Revit files in the cloud: live work shared, single user cloud model, or a static one. The static one is not going to be visible in any way using the cross-link method. So actually, I did. You can do it via Docs. That's correct. You can do it via the drive. If you navigate to the drive location, then you can link a static model, but it's not live work share. In the simple form of design of work sharing, every discipline works in a model. publishes the model to docs, and then this published model, it's cross-linked into the discipline. And what I mentioned at the end of the class yesterday, that this is a high-risk environment. It's simple to set up, but it's high risk because your documentation is at the mercy of unintended updates of the counterparts, and you don't have an ability to review and validate that the changes from your consultants are suitable to be used in the context of documentation production. Imagine at very last minute, you're ready to print your sheets. The structural or MEP publishes a new model, and then the link of this model, which is live link, will impact the quality of your design deliverables. And so it is high trust, and it's also highly risked way of working. Now, if you have very strong relationship with your consultants, your projects are small, and you have this agreement that it's okay for you to utilize whatever updates they do through the life cycle of the design, you're welcome to use this method, which is a live cross-linking of files that are live or shared. This method of modeling in a high-risk environment is not approved by ISO 16980, which is one of the which is considered one of the standards, international standards that dictate how to properly exchange information in the context of design production. In a nutshell, ISO 16980 basically tells you, and I can pull a diagram which is common. ISO 980 diagram. ISO 19650. Yeah, here's the one. So according to the ISO 16950, a well-refined document exchange process is as follows. Each discipline works in his own silo, right? Each discipline has a work in progress file. Yeah, each discipline work in his own file, and then reviews it, right? And review it internally, and at a very specific timeline, you exchange that information into a shared repository. The shared repository is a placeholder of all the discipline work that allow the other disciplines to review it. So if you are, for example, a structural engineer, and you're reaching 95% or 90% CDs or the end of CDs, for example. Then as a discipline, you would you publish your model into docs, and then you create a package that is placed into a shared repository. And in this shared space, the architect and the MVP has a chance to review whether the approved exchange is suitable for consumption. When this happens, then the contribution is authorized to be part of the published documentation, which is the CD set. And the act of incorporating a shared package into the final published documentation is called a consumption. You consume the contribution of a discipline. And so this process sounds simple, it's at a very high level, but this is what ISO 19650 is all about. And so for Autodesk to put a project that meets these standards, we had to devise a module that help us facilitate a space for the disciplines to work. B, facilitate a space where the disciplines publish their packages. And C, allow the disciplines to consume the information shared by the disciplines. That makes sense? So this process has been translated into a technical user interface that sometimes overwhelms users, but just hopefully I don't confuse you at the end of this class. Any question here at a high level? At the end of the project, obviously, all the verified published documentation can be archived. All right, and design collaboration is all about that. So design collaboration is a module that is part of BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. And it's you can switch to this design collaboration module in this dropdown. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to devise an exercise where we do this as a team. But so for the next 20 minutes, just bear with me and in this explanation. So the module hasn't been created yet. It hasn't been set up yet. When I switch to this module, notice that it says your project has not been initialized. I'm going to complete the setup. Says you need to define, you're about to get started, and that's okay. So the first thing is where is going to be the share location. So in other words, where in the structural folders are consultants going to be placing their approved contributions. And so by default is this folder, project files shared. Now, this is a one-time setup in the life of a project. You cannot undo, you cannot reassign the share folder location, so be careful about which folder you picked. There are some companies, for example, decide to put it in a different folder, maybe one that is called federated, which is the federation of all the work in progress files. I'm just going to leave it as shared because that's what everybody uses. So I'm going to confirm that this is the space for shared packages. And then the next thing is to discover teams or assign teams. A team, it's the space where the disciplines place the work in progress. So this bucket of folders are all the different teams. In our case, Revit is scanning for folders that have Lightwork share files. And it's telling me, okay, in the architectural folder and in the MVP folder, there appears to be a discipline. So I'm going to complete the setup here. And it assign it with a color. Notice that the structural wasn't picked up automatically, but I can do it manually. So to pick the structural folder, I'm going to select the existing folder, go to the model, structure, add a team, and this is important because this is a way for the cloud to understand that this space is where the work in progress files are going to be hosted. And the color code associated with the disciplines is the way that this the contributions are going to be mapped in a timeline. Here, if you add, for example, a new team, you can create a new folder and add it here. Then I'm going to click next here. The coordination space is which folder in the doc structure is going to be used to create an automatic clash detection. Coordination module is the space that is the equivalent of Navisworks, if you are familiar with it. But the coordination module allow the different disciplines to automatically create a matrix of physical interferences that are larger than 0. And so if components from different disciplines interferes, you will have a matrix of automatic clashes. You can create a new folder, or you can use the same share folder. Most companies like to create a new folder, and you can build it. And so here you see these toggles. This means whatever files you find in this in these team spaces clashes or create a clash. My take is don't use the work in progress folders, because those are unapproved published packages. Instead, use either the share folder or add another coordination folder. I'm going to use the share folder under the same folder that will be used for coordination. So I'm going to create it here. So whatever is placed in the share folder, whenever there's a new package, then that the files in where's my over here. Yeah, so what I was saying is that whenever a discipline share model and a set of documents into the share space, then all the documents placed in the share space will have a 3D coordination exercise. That's what this toggle is. And I switch off the work in progress because I don't want to create it. I don't want to work with the work in progress versions. And then you tell me, what is the model that it's driving levels, phases, and grids? Sometimes, most of the time, is the architectural model. I don't know why it's not. Oh, because it's I need to share something in order for this to be enabled. These are all the teams. This is a coordination space. This is the project settings. And so the coordination module is ready to be used. Any question here? This is a one-time setup. as if we were starting to this process. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to the, this is the design collaboration module. And it has two big user interface. It has a way for you to navigate the discipline contribution in the form of a swim lane, and a way to browse the information contained by each of the packages shared by the different disciplines. And so in here, I have the three disciplines: the architecture, structure, and MEP. And notice that this timeline is it represents a point in time in the design cycle. Right now, the architecture model has been published in its first version, and these squares represent a set of documents in the architectural space suitable to be used as a pack, that suitable to be created as a package. So each discipline has the responsibility to tender its own swim lane. Right now, we are all administrators of this big collaborative pro, but if you're an architect, you are in charge of tender the exchanges of the architectural lane. If you're structural, then you tender the packages on the structural side. And so let me, I think I have, I don't have, this is their sample project. That's not the one I published. Let me, where did I put this? 1 second. I probably use a different folder. Structural. I think I didn't place this model in the right place. I put it in a different project. So let me do it again. Collaborate. In the cloud. I have two projects. The one was from last year and this year. And I am in OXMAN learning. Yeah, I didn't put it here. So I have to create a folder. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where I put the structural model. Oh, here is the structural model. Structural folder. And here's the link. So where is it? Collaboration. That's odd. Let me put this here. To maximize here. Okay, back on track. What I last say is that each discipline is in charge of tendering their own packages. And so notice how the architectural package now has a version 2 that was published on a certain day. Is that a question for me, Rajvi? Okay, so the timeline in design collaboration will map the published, will map allow you to create 3 things. And I need to pull this diagram again so it makes sense. Allow you to understand when a file has been published. So when a file is from a discipline, it's available in the share in the it's available it's available in the discipline. It will have this square color. So a square represents contribution for the discipline living in its own folder structure. So if you see this icon and the square icon, that means that it's your discipline published file in this work in progress folder. And so the idea behind is that each discipline is in charge of creating their own packages and share them. And when you share them, it makes a copy of that file in the shared folder so that other people can consume it. All right, let me show you how that works. Design collaboration has detected that there is a new published file in the architectural folder. And then as a member of the discipline, as a member of the architectural team, I am ready to share the architectural contribution to other consultants. So what I do is actually, when you click in the square, you actually can see the things that have been shared by the project in the project. If the architect decides that he's ready to share this version of a file to other consultants, then he creates a package. A package consists on it browses the content of the architectural model in the work in progress folder and allow the users to pick which views you want to share with the rest of the team. So you can be very granular to select all the views that were public, all the views in set 1, for example. You can, by default, you're sharing a model. And also by default, you're sharing the 3D view. So if you don't share any, if you didn't set up anything in the published settings, then Revit is going to force you to share the 3D in brackets view and the models. And then the content of the package is spelled out here. In the model that was published in the architectural folder, there is one set with 6 sheets and one 3D view and a project model. So as a discipline, you confirm that this is indeed the things that you want to share. Maybe in the process you say, you know, the consultant doesn't need to see these views, and then you exclude them. So after reviewing what you want to share, you save it. This is creating a package, right? The package is now created, but now I need to share it. And when I share the package, then a copy of this model and the selected views is going to be placed in the share package. So going back to my diagram here, this is the equivalent of moving the work in progress of my discipline into the share folder. So I'm going to share it here. I'm going to call it, this is the schematic design, as the package. Then I share this package, and Revit is going to make BIM Collaborate Pro is going to make a package of the architectural content and place it in the shared folder. So when I go back into Docs here, I'm going to jump into the Docs module. Notice how there is now a share folder, and then under the share folder, there's an architectural folder, and then under the architectural folder, there is a copy of this Revit model. So that is the subset of views that I picked from the work in progress file. It's just placed into the share folder. Okay. Notice also that in the model space under every discipline, there's a new folder created consume. Right now, consume is empty. This folder, there's nothing there. But what consume is the third part of this process. So the consultants review what the rest of the team has shared as a package, and if they agree that it's suitable for consumption, then they authorize the consumption using BIM Collaborate Pro. And what that's going to do is make a copy of the share model into the consume model, and then the model in the consume folder is cross-linked to your own documentation. And so let's see how it works. So I'm going to go back to design collaboration, and let's say notice that this is the package that was shared. This is the package that was this is the published model. This is the package that I created. It has a different shape. A square is a share file. A dot is a share package. All right, so if I am a structural person, I will only have access to my lane here. And then in this structural lane, I see that on this date, today's date, the architect shared a package in the share folder. As a structural engineer, you can click on it and review what this package is all about. Or look at the architect share with me as the package set. It has 6 views and 1 3D view. You can actually even access the model, look at the set, look at the views, look at the sheets. And if the architectural model is suitable for your use, for the structural use and the structural documentation, then they consume it. And consume a model means to move the file from the share folder into the consume folder of their own discipline, so it can be cross-linked directly to the live model. All right, this is suitable for consumption. I'm going to consume it. on the structural side, I'm going to consume the architectural package. And then when I return to docs, then the under the structural folder, under the consume folder, there's an architectural folder with the consume version of the file. So in other words, let me diagram the movements of the files here. This is the published file. After it's been reviewed by the architect, it is moved into the share architectural folder. Then when the structural discipline reviews the architectural package and approve its use for its documentation, then this file is moved into the consume folder of that discipline. And so this movement of files, it's like a stage exchange where there is approval process. That is the ISO 16950. And so the structural model now, then I can open the structural model and then I can cross-link the consume model because it's being both approved by the architects for distribution and approved by my own discipline for internalizing in the model. And so all the disciplines follow the same process. There's this process of creating a package, share it, and consume it. Does that make sense at a high level? Okay. And let's do one more example, and then I'll switch topics. So this was from the structural side. Let's do one from the MEP side. So here's the MEP model. Here's one version of the MEP model. And notice, remember, the MEP model is a standalone model. It's not LiveWorks share. I just drag it and drop it into the MEP folder. Why I think some of you guys are considering using that strategy. So the MEP model has no subscriptions of BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro. They just are, they just have access to docs. So they drag and drop the file, the MEP model into the MEP folder. And as a discipline, sorry, they have BIM Collaborate. They need to have BIM Collaborate in order to see this timeline. But they don't need to have BIM Collaborate Pro. So a discipline that only have BIM Collaborate can create packages for the other disciplines to utilize. So this is the MEP model that was published. I'm gonna, as an MEP engineer, I'm gonna create a package, and it's an MEP package. I picked the documents that need to be part of that package, one set, one view. I save the package, and that's going to turn, I share it. It's going to place this model into the share folder. I could add a description if I want to. And then these packages now has this solid circle, meaning that it's been approved by MEP engineer, that this package is suitable for construction of your counterparts. And now let's see, I'm an architect and I need to decide if this MEP model is good. So as an architect, I jump into the architectural swim lane. In the architectural swim lane, I see that the MEP has shared a package. The empty circle means that it's been approved by the MEP engineer, but it hasn't been approved by my own discipline. And so I select on this circle This is the information that MEP is sharing with me. So I'm going to consume it. When I consume it, then a copy of the share model and the documents will be placed in the consume folder of the discipline in my own folder. And so when I go back to docs and I look at the architectural discipline, under the consume folder, here is the MEP, and here is the consume file. So going back to the original flow, the MEP model is shared into the MEP folder by the mechanical engineer. And then the architects reviews it and decide to consume it, and they will place it over here. There is a handover of models, revisions, with approval that are, and then from here is linked into the architectural model. It seems a little cumbersome, but this is the only reasonable way to get to meet that standard. And in fact, a lot of international projects and corporate projects does require you to comply with this method of exchanges to reduce the risks. So any question so far?
So I've been working on collaborative models and never really followed this process. I think most of them are live linked models. We just sync it and we are done. Yeah. So
this is a little convoluted because it requires different actors to provide their approval stamp before anything is exchanged and consumed. And I think it's
okay.
I completely relate with the reaction when I tried to push this in a firm. They were like, "Oh, this is too cumbersome." But if you think about it, in a project that is very lengthy and there's a lot of risk involved in live work, you want to reduce that risk, then you need to put in place this check controls that helps you have a more control, quality control assurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, this is interesting to know. Yeah. Because we have all the consultants have the model linked to the main model, and we just keep syncing it. And I think when a package is delivered, I don't know, we're always asked to publish it again. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but this is good to know that this is there.
So to your last question, publish is the act of moving a work in progress file from the Amazon server into Autodesk Docs. So it makes a static copy of the work in progress available in Docs for the rest of the team to exchange. So, and then from there, so in other words, the architectural model, you see, this is not the live link model. This is a published model from a live model. That the live model is not visible to you. And the reason, I mean, is to keep control of the timestamps. Whenever you publish something, it has a timestamp and it has a version. And so when you decide to, oh, it's time to publish something, then you're making a static copy from the work in progress live repository into this folder, into Docs. And then to your point, in many projects, you just cross-link this file in the cloud, right? You just cross-link it and it gets automatically updated. And that's a simple operation, and but there's a high risk. And to control the risk, we go through this process of publish, share, and consume.
Now, this is helpful. One more question, Cesar, if I'm not taking too much time.
Yeah.
What did I want to ask? Sorry. I blanked out. I'm sorry. If I think about the question, I'll get back.
No worries.
My apologies. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. Let's see let's look at the structure. Yeah, there's a structural model here. And back to design collaboration. If for some reason I don't see the structural model being published yet, maybe I need to republish. Every time you publish something, a square will appear in this timeline. Let's see. I close this file, maybe because this is, I have the, and then I go to, that's not the model I saved. Oh. What? Let me close Revit. I'm looking at the clock. I also want to show you very quickly the module coordination. So as part, when you purchase a license of BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro, you also have access to design collaboration and model coordination. The model coordination is a space that pull the models from a coordination space and compare it in compare automatically in Clash. So notice here I have the architectural and the MEP models. And the reason they are listed here is because when I set up BIM Collaborate Pro, I told them that whatever model is living in the share folder in Docs, it needs to be used in the model coordination model. And so Revit automatically create this clash matrix. This is a clash matrix between the MEP and the structure. And for some reason, it's not picking. It's not reading any clash. And what I suspect is that these two models are not aligned, so they are not falling in the same spot, and therefore there's nothing to clash. But this clash matrix usually it's done automatically, and it will process. It also takes some time to process. So it was done at 6:21. So it's been the last clash happens automatically. Manage coordination spaces. Yeah, this is the coordination space. You can have multiple coordination spaces, by the way, but you have to manually move those files into the coordination space in order to be clashed. I think the system is getting slow in processing the clashes. This is last clash check is 621, so it's not yet ready. But you know, when these clashes get active, and let me show you an example. This is a different project. It's very complex. And then on the clash module, I have, these are different views from different models against different models. This is the count of all the physical clashes. For example, mechanical duct against plumbing, there's 168 clashes. When you click on that cell, it will open a view with color-coded colors associated with each of the models. And then you can start navigating and exploring each of these clashes one by one. Some of these clashes are not critical. This is the list of all the clashes, color-coded. Green is one discipline, red is the other discipline. And if they are, here's a clash. If there is a need to solve this clash, then you can create an issue. Issue is a database of a tabular display of issues that need to be resolved in the design cycle. And so you can create an issue which replaces a 3D dot in space. Then you can it's not doing. Okay, I'm going to try here. There's a flash here. I don't know why it's not giving me access, so sorry about that. This should be working. You create, this opens a form where it says this is a critical issue between the element ID of this model against the element ID of this other model. And the action item is for this person to move this duct or move the duct or the pipe by certain date, and it creates this table of issues over time. This is this is an example of an issue. Here is a description of the issue and a screenshot of the issue. And then the person you assign it receive an email with a copy of the screenshot, and it's with a hyperlink to this coordination space so that the consultant is aware about what's happening in design and he can address it in the Revit model. So issues is part of the design coordination module. You will get it as well if you have a subscription of BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. I was attempting to do this in my simple model, but I'm afraid that these two files are not in the same space. They're probably in different elevations. So I'm going to go back to Any question? I know that.
Yes, I remembered my question, Caesar.
Yeah.
So when you're working in BIM 360, it's like typically before when you used to just work in Revit and do, what do you say, just share your model. You could,
Publish.
yeah, publish it not on BIM 360, but if it's just within your firm, you're doing a shared Revit model for simultaneously working on it. You could save it as, in your local drive plus a central firm server or something. But in BIM 360, I understand that even when you hit Control Save, instead of syncing, does it save a local copy anywhere, or
Yeah.
is it always only in the cloud that it gets saved?
No, the local files for and the idea that all the work sharing, it's a cloud operation, it's a little misnomer, because what happens is that Revit tap the cloud, download something in the machine, you work in that version of the file in your machine, and then when you synchronize with Central, you just upload the delta, the new objects, or that you are aggregated, or the new objects that you or the objects that you deleted, and the location of that of those files, it's very hard to reach. Let me find if I can. Local file location. It's in the project here. Local app data.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Autodesk Revit, Collaborate, Cache. And the files have these weird names. It's like I can show it. I'm just gonna copy this. Open Explorer.
So it is saved as something separate, not just directly to them.
Yeah, so when you hit the save command, it's actually saving it. Saving it in this folder, and then when you synchronize with Central, is moving just the delta
to the central
the
cloud, basically. Okay.
Yeah. Not a lot of people is happy with the how deep in the system these local files are placed. But in Revit 2024, they added the ability to customize where these files are living. So I don't, it was a big ask, make these local files a little bit more explicit. So it's in the new version of Revit. Okay, good questions, Ramila.
Thank you. No, thanks.
Okay, so that's at a high level what design collaboration and model collaboration is. There's a lot of other things to go over, but just to explain the full features of the Autodesk Construction Cloud, I need to put together another class. It might take 3 or 4 classes to go through the whole set of modules, including the Autodesk Build and Autodesk Takeoff, and the cost management as well. Okay, any question before I move? Let me see. This is the structural model that I make live at the start of a class. I'm not sure why it didn't got recognized by Design Collaborate. I'm going to do a last attempt to see if I can make it work. I synchronize with Central. And then I go, this is how you publish the file or make it available in the discipline folder in Docs. So I go to the structural model. It's telling me that there is a new update. I select it, and I publish it. I'll give it time to process. And when you publish this, there's a new version of the file in the doc space. And the version will be changed from version 1 to version 2. You see how it's circling right now, it's version 2. When this circle finishes, it's going to be version 3, and that's how the publish happens. So I'm going to give it some time. One more thing, I want to touch on this new feature or new capability of ACC, which is the Autodesk Bridge. Say, for example, you have your own infrastructure for editing models in the cloud, but you're invited by other firms to collaborate in the project. So rather than exposing your entire system of files, you may want to just synchronize automatically a folder from one tenant site to another tenant site. And you use this thing called Bridge. So what Bridge does is allow two similar projects by two different organizations to designate a folder structure that automatically synchronizes whenever it detects a change. So I don't know. This is useful in the context of big corporate projects. But say I have this shared folder, this architectural folder. Whenever I share whenever I share my file, I want to send it to another tenant project. So you establish this thing called Bridge. And in Bridge, you need to two users need to be connected. I cannot demonstrate here because I don't have a destination folder. You can say, send an email to a person, the BIM manager of your counterpart. And say, hey, let's bridge. I need to enable a person a credential with the ability to send a bridge. So whenever that person, which is the owner of a different tenant site, receive that email, then the two projects now have the ability to read each other, and the BIM managers select what of those folders automatically bridge. And so these are incoming and outgoing folders. So in the incoming, you select a folder that is going out to a tenant site. No, incoming is the folders that are coming into your project, and outgoing are the ones that are going outside. This was a long-standing request to be able to connect to the similar projects, and it's now available. I thought it's pretty cool. Sending files. I think this was important for some of you. This is a how do you send files to other parties? Go back to docs. All right, say you want to, there are different ways to notify, to stay aware of what are the changes in the model. At the base level, if you want to understand when somebody posts a file in a folder, you can subscribe to a folder. So in the shared folder, for example, I am an architect and I want to know whenever the structural send a model, I want to know. So what you do here is to select the structural folder in the shared folder and then subscribe to folder. And when this happens, whenever there's any change in this folder, please send me an email notification. Subscribe. So anytime a structural posts a file in this folder, I will get email notification. That's one way to stay aware of the changes. If you want to send a file for somebody to review or send a file to somebody to collaborate, you can select the file and share it. Now, when you share it, this is an invitation to collaborate. When you share it, the counterpart can receive a there are two types of sharing. An invitation to collaborate, or anyone with the link is a public link. So public links have an expiration date, and anyone with the link, whether they have a license or not, will have the ability to open the file, open the viewer, look at the file, download it, but only to that file. So you don't need to have a docs folder when you use a public link. If you invite a specific member, then like I'm going to share this to my Andrew, his Gmail account. Andrew is going to need a license of Docs or Beam Collaborate in order to collaborate as a project member. He needs to be invited into the project to be part of the project, be part of it. So if you choose the first option, yes, you need a license. If you choose the second option, which is anyone with the link, the recipient doesn't need to be licensed. Now I need to configure this project to have a public links and it's on the settings in the administration. Okay. Settings. Project settings, project admin. In the service page, document management. Settings. It's supposed to be here. I'll find out where that is, but there is a place I need to search. It is in the account. Files from the left navigation file tools. I'll tell you next class how to activate the public sharing, but it's a setting that there is a setting somewhere here that the toggle that oh, here it's right here. So you go to files and then where it says settings, advanced settings, and it says enable public links. Yes, turn it on. The public link will expire in 90 days. And so when you enable that toggle, then you can create files with, you can share links with people that do not have BIM Collaborator. So select this file, for example, and then I do share. And now it says anyone with the link. The link expires on this date. And this is the public link. I can copy it. And then I can paste this in an email or a Word document. Just want to show you how that looks like. This is the link that I placed, that I'm sharing. I think it's going to open. Here's how you can download the file. And there's no need to have a BIM Collaborate or Docs in order to exchange this information. And I think this question was asked by you, Andrew, whether you can share files without license, and this is the way to do that. And it doesn't have to be just Revit files. You can also change docs or Excel files, any type of file. All right, that's the second way of sharing information. The first one was more proactive, where you subscribe to a folder to see if something has changed. This is the way to send a file for somebody to review. And then the third one is a little more structured, is create a transmittal. And a transmittal is when you really want to keep track of the paper trail. Like you want to make sure that there's a cloud log that the transmittal is to a specific project team members, and you want to like keep track that it's been acknowledged and that it's been downloaded. So create transmittal only works for recipients of project members. Like I cannot send it to a person who is not part of the project team. So again, I'm going to pick Andrew here, save it, and say, this is a file. I can create a transmittal. And then this is packing the file along with this external files. Then via email, you're going to receive a notification that will have a link to download this file. And the transmittals, there's a transmittal log. So again, transmittals are used to, it's a formal way of exchanging information with project members. This is restricted for people who have a seat of docs or BIM Collaborator, and you have the paper trail. If you do just the open link, there's no paper trail there. You have no idea who downloaded that file. But if you want to be structured, then do it via transmittal. Okay, so any question? I also need to clarify that BIM 360 and Autodesk Construction Clouds are the same, but they are not the same. BIM 360 refers to the technology developed prior to 2018, when this was an incubation project, an incubation service. And so when BIM 360 moved away from an incubation service, then it was renamed or rebranded as Autodesk Construction Cloud. And so they have a very similar functionality, but in the back end, they are hosted by different, at the back end, they are differently. And BIM 360 is a legacy mirror of the Construction Cloud. And yes, and they run in parallel. There's no plan right now to decommission BIM 360 anytime soon. But make sure that when you talk with customers and clients, BIM 360 equals docs. Right? They were in the previous generation. This used to be called Collaborate for Revit. This is in the BIM 360 era, and this was renamed as Design Collaboration in ACC. In the old generation, in BIM 360, this was Glue. I don't know if you guys ever worked with Glue. That was the pre-model coordination, and in the new generation of tools, it was rebranded. It was called model coordination. And so what I'm showing you here is not BIM 360. This is the Autodesk Construction Cloud. BIM 360 has a slightly different user interface. When you create a project, you have to decide, do you want to do it in the next generation of tools, or do you want to do it in the old generation of tools? And so notice here how when I switch accounts, is United Construction. These are projects that have this like sphere. This is a visual clue that this is ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud. And then this B here is BIM 360. So different cloud services that does exactly the same thing. The one is the old generation, and the other is the new generation. I recommend always going with the latest and greatest. And so when you purchase a subscription of BIM Collaborate Pro, you have the option to start a project in the old BIM 360 platform, or in the new BIM 360 platform, or in the ACC platform. So here at Autodesk, we love to confuse our customers. I shouldn't say that live stream, but that's the realities on how this service got developed. All right, any question, guys? So it's 7 o'clock, and I plan to also talk about design option and phasing in Revit. I don't think 15 minutes is going to be enough to follow that discussion and complete that discussion. So if you guys okay, I could just stop the class today, and then next class I'm going to just focus on tackling those two outstanding topics. And all right, so hopefully this was insightful on how we utilize the cloud tools. If you want to have a personalized conversation with me, please stay on the line. Otherwise, have a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and I'll see you next Monday. And we'll be ready to talk about phasing and design options. All right. Have a good evening.
Hey, Caesar, I just have a few questions.
Yeah.
I missed a couple of classes, so I don't know what I missed, but will you be talking about work sets and sheets? What is it called? Like, sorry, one sec. I'm just trying to get the correct terminology. Basically, sheet when you kind of group it according to disciplines and you're like sorting views and all that. Uh, have you dealt with that? Have you taught us that already? I don't know if I
yeah.
missed something.
Yeah. When upon my return from Ireland, the
Okay,
first class. Let's see what
you
was
dealt with that. Okay, I'll go back and look at those videos and see if I have any questions because I typically find that an issue sorting out and getting it to move where I want it to. So
Yeah, go to the class of the 18.
on 18th, okay,
18. That's when I
you
deliver it.
talked about that.
I
Okay,
talk about the project organization and ways in
okay,
which you can create shared parameters to reallocate sheets and views in a different
okay,
order.
okay.
And if you have questions, you can always ask me.
No, definitely, yeah. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'll go through that and I'll get back with the questions if I have anything.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, Caesar.
Camila.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Thanks. Bye.